Hello and welcome to the stream. This is Simmercraft. I feel like I fumbled that a bit, but welcome. We're back. We're going to be playing Galaxy Princess Zorana today, which should be fun. Had a lot of fun with this last time I streamed it, and I'm looking forward to hopefully actually winning the election this time. That's, kind of important. As for, so this is the last stream of this week. Next week is a little different. We'll be playing the 100 line. It's probably the only stream we'll be doing next week, but we will be doing it on Tuesday instead of the usual Monday, so same time as this. Also, my apologies for the late start. I don't have a good excuse. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's get to the game. Yeah. Alright, here we go. So, last time things didn't go great for us, I'll be honest. I think we had some major blunders in our electioneering strategy, and also, we died. We got assassinated, so that wasn't great. I've got some ideas to try this time around. We'll get into the main blunders I think we made last time, once we actually are strategizing, but here we go. You lie in your curtained bed, trying to relax your mind into sleep. What a rotten, rotten day. You can skip through text by clicking that button on the right of the dialog box. By default, this only skips text you've seen before. Okay. Your mathematical drills made your head hurt, your soup was served far too cold, and the heel of your favorite damson purple shoe snapped completely on your way back to your room, making you stumble in front of your guards. Even your beloved pets. An all-consuming black blob. That sounds so fun. Ignored you during feeding time. It's bad enough that you had to leave all your friends and be dragged off to this floating palace just because you're the heir now. What's the point of being an Imperial Princess if you can't have nice things? Your father, the Emperor, rules over all of civilized space. How dare your shoe betray you? This is not helping you get to sleep. Relax. Relax. You can get another shoe in the morning. Suddenly, there's a loud chime at your door. You don't care, you're in bed. You're not answering it. To your surprise, your room lights turn on by themselves. Someone out there has the power to override your settings. Your Imperial Highness, Princess Zorana, we are here to escort you to the cabinet room. Please rise and dress at once. Go away, I'm sleeping. It is an emergency, Your Highness. It's your father. Whatever my father wants, he can tell me in the morning. Princess, your father is gone. What? I'll be right there. You make your way to a seat still dazed. All around, government ministers, logothets, and civil servants are shouting at each other in agitation. It doesn't seem real. Sure, the real you is still lying safe in bed. Adrift and confused, you stare up at the imperial portraits that overhang the cabinet table. Father, mother, I never really knew either of you. Your mother died when you were very young. You barely remember her. You have only pictures and her name, Imperial Consort Melania of Crystal Nova, a place outside the Empire which you have never visited. Emperor Dragosin was a busy man with no allowance for a child's demands. You were raised on the Merkin homeworlds by your governess and a series of boarding schools. You saw your father only at official functions from a distance. You've only been here in the Heavenly Palace for a season, learning at his side, and now... Speak one at a time, or we cannot hear ourselves think. Mazarin, you are His Majesty's shadow, sworn to defend him at all times. How can you not know what happened? Were you not at his side? A male Miro raises his head. The Emperor received a message from the science labs that one of his top secret projects had made some kind of breakthrough. We went down to see it at once. One of the cabinet ministers, your father's logothet of science, immediately questions, "What manner of project?" Researcher was attempting to create a short-range personal warp fields. The assembled ministers break out in shouts again with cries of impossible and metaphysics! You don't understand any of the technical babble. This is a skill test. We don't need tutorials. Any schoolchild knows the basics, though. Only a very large ship and structures like this palace can travel through warp gates to distant parts of the galaxy. No single person can teleport from a bedroom to a boutique, even if it would be very convenient to avoid crowds. Went to view the equipment and speak with the researcher. Dragossan sent me to another lab to check on some readings. He is my first loyalty, so I obeyed without question. Then I heard a sound of an explosion. I returned to the lab to find that the equipment was destroyed and the researcher and the Emperor had disappeared. But there were no bodies. No. With any records of what tests were run, what the machine was trying to do, where it might have seen them, said them rather. No, everything was destroyed. How can you know nothing? He doesn't answer. No bodies. Is it possible that the experiment worked and your father was transported somewhere in the Heavenly Palace? That he's just injured, maybe, or unconscious, and that's why he's not here? It's more likely that he was thrown out into space, or sucked into another dimension, or ripped into tiny pieces and scattered like confetti. You wrap your arms around yourself and sink down into your chair as the ministers argue around you. All gone. Princess Zorana. What? You are the designated heir. In your father's absence, it falls to you to make decisions for the Empire. You must decide what we do next. But if the Emperor is dead, then the Empire must be informed and the official mourning period begun. However, with no body present, the procedures are less clear. Should we officially announce Dragossan's death, or delay the inevitable until an investigation can be concluded? Okay, so last time we made an announcement in the interests of, transparency, right? The only thing worse than scandal is getting caught trying to cover up a scandal. But also, to kind of get our first mover advantage, to really declare, no, the Emperor's dead, and I'm on the hunt for the crown immediately. Now, granted, I made this decision before I realized we lived in an elective monarchy instead of a hereditary one, which does change the calculus a little bit. Because I've actually done some writing to an effect on this, but because in a hereditary monarchy, right, it actually is pretty decent to clearly state, yes, the previous guy's dead, and I am taking over, like, as quickly and efficiently as possible, because, you know, you're the de facto next person to be in charge so long as the previous guy's dead. So it's to your benefits to make it as abundantly clear and non-controversial as possible. Yeah, the previous guy's dead, and therefore, now it's my turn. And the longer you stay in this weird limbo zone, the more, various nobles and interest groups and whatnot can start getting ideas. In an elective monarchy, though, the calculus kind of flips on its head. Because if we know he's dead, but our potential rivals don't, that gives us time to prepare for the election, knowing it's going to be coming up soon. So, now that I know this is an elective monarchy, I think we don't make the announcement. I think we delay. Now, we do run the risk of, if it later comes out that we knew for all this time, and yet we didn't inform the Empire like we should have, then that can be a bit of a controversy, a bit of a scandal. But we do have we've got very good plausible deniability here of, like, look, we didn't know he was dead. He was just missing, technically, at this point. So we don't have to announce anything right now. So we're going to delay. It's middle of the night, and no one's sure what's happened yet. Maybe there are clues we haven't seen. There could still be hope. There's no need to rush. Very well. The Celestial Ministry will organize a full investigation. There's a buzz of agreement and plans to sweep the entire palace of any clues to the Emperor's fate, with a special focus on the science division. You must also consider the possibility that this was not an accident. A tall woman leans forward, her earrings swaying. She is the Imperial Thresher, head of intelligence in the secret police. You'd never really spoken to her. Her reports to your father were always made in private. If it was well hidden. There's been no sign of any plot against the Emperor this Fivum. You will pursue it. Of course, but this must be handled discreetly. We don't want word to leak that the Emperor is missing, especially when we don't know the truth. There could be panic, chaos. Enemies would take advantage. And in such uncertainty, we must devote extra attention to the safety of the heir. She turns to you. You don't have your own oath-sworn bodyguard at this point, do you? No, just the regular guards. Then I volunteer to stand as your bodyguard until a proper rotation can be established. If you wish it, I will sleep in your quarters and keep you safe from harm. She wants to stay in your bedroom? Your private sanctum? She's a stranger, and a stranger whose entire job is to snoop and spy. But it could be safe to have her present, if you feel that you could trust her. If not, you'd be volunteering for your own execution. Can you truly trust anyone in this palace? I do think we'll go for her protection. Well, there's pros and cons here. We do know she's competent at her job. She's got a score of like 75, which is pretty good. And I think one of the issues we had last time is we did not fill out the council nearly quickly enough, the cabinets. We need to like get on that. But here's the catch. The cabinet is really good because there's two goals with regards to the cabinets that are kind of at odds with each other, right? On the one hand, we can use the cabinet and the positions therein to effectively buy votes. Right? We can go up to a delegate and say, hey, look, if you want to be my Minister of Science, you can have that role in exchange for your vote. Downside of that is you're not always going to get the most competent people if you're just using the positions to buy votes. But simultaneously, if you're specifically just putting in either just the first person you beat just to have someone in the post, or you're just looking for literally the best person for the job, a lot of the times those people that are either going to be available the quickest or are going to be like really spectacular at the role don't have a vote that you can use to buy, which is arguably a bit of a waste of resources. That being said, refusing this offer, making the former like head of intelligence. Although, can I see? I can see my moods right now. Stats log, stats. That doesn't help me. I think we'll accept the protection. And I think of the people we could get for this role, she's probably one of the most competent. And also, she seems like you put a delegate in that role, they might have an agenda. You put her in the role, I think she's more of like just kind of manipulating things from behind. She wants to be behind the crown. She doesn't want the crown, so we'll accept. I accept your offer. She says nothing, only nods. It is probably best for you to sleep while you can. There'll be little time for it in the future. With the meeting broken up, you disperse into the hallway. Princess Zorana, I was bound by your father to give you a message in the event of his death. Yes? Focus on your studies. The skills you gain can never be taken from you, and they may mean the difference between life and death for yourself and for the Empire. Build a pool of trusted advisors as quickly as possible to strengthen your power base, but always remember that your own knowledge is more valuable than what you hear from others. That's all? Nothing personal? No secrets? No final admission that he loved you? Nothing? You've been awakened, spoiled flower, but you are Dragosin's child, and if you survive, you will be Empress. Spoiled? How dare? It's what your father told me to say. Then quickly, he walks away. Here you are, in complete control of your own life for the first time. What you choose to study will give you the skills you need to become Empress, or else doom you to a brutal fate. You'll show them all. You have to. Once you've slept, you must choose your first set of classes and begin your journey. Okay. So what do we want? Okay, I do like the idea of getting these emotion classes this time around. Menace we can probably use to threaten people into voting for us. Allure we can, use our charm. And empathy will help us to get a better feel for if people are on our side or not in the first place. That being said, we can't get it right now. Because we are determined. Well, we could get it, but we'd be at a penalty. There's value to going rhetoric, etiquette, deception pretty quickly. Although I don't think you're going to go wrong with some like reflexes, you know? I will say, we went hard into engineering on our first run. It did not come up at all. Our MacGyver princess was not very useful, so I think we go reflexes. And maybe strength? Like, just... Because these stats here, I think, are going to be the last line of defense on a lot of different assassination attempts. Right? Reflexes, just get out of the way of something. Strength, overpower an attacker. Tumbling. Probably a bit less useful, but if you need to make an escape and jump out a window or something, I could see it coming up. And we did get assassinated last time, so I don't want that to happen again. Okay. We've completed basic reflexes and strength. Once again, you lie in your bed. This time, sleep bubbles up easily. Your mind and body are exhausted from the stress. Of the days since your father disappeared, only in sleep can you relax. Was there a noise? Did something just fall over in your room? You're so tired. Oh, right! If we didn't have our Thresher as our bodyguard, we probably died at this event. Something bumps against your bed. You hear a scuffle and a scream? You activate the lights to find Kurundi crouched over the body of a Hyrcan woman, freshly dead. Her blood is smeared all over Kurundi's clothing. The assassin has been dispatched, Your Imperial Highness. Thank you. We will remove the body and investigate her connections. I'll have someone clean the carpets in the morning. You watch in silence as Kurundi and the guards carry the mysterious woman away. She was strangely dressed for an assassin. She looked much more like one of your father's concubines. Wait, maybe this isn't an assassination attempt. Huh. Maybe it could just be like, what if, I don't know. Why would someone like that want to kill you? If Kurundi hadn't been here. How are you supposed to sleep now? Every turn you'll have the opportunity to interact socially with characters who are present in your current location. At the moment, that's people in the Heavenly Palace, as well as visiting Kurundi, the Thresher. You can also spend time with your pet, which will affect your mood. Your pet is a writhing, indistinct mass of darkness and likes to tear its prey apart before absorbing it. You only wish you could be that destructive, though. Large weapons do help. Choosing this pet gave you the starting skills in hiding and big guns. What is your blot's name? We're kind of like a Mobius. Or Amoebus? Amoebus. Oh, look at him! He's so cute in like a eldritch horror sort of way. Let's talk to Mazarin while we can. Alright. You arrange to meet with your father's shadow outside his quarters. Mazarin looks rumpled as if he hadn't been sleeping well. Or perhaps he sees less reason to care for his appearance now that your father's gone. Is there something you wish of me, Princess Zorana? Interaction basic fail, great. Let's ask you, Mazarin. How are you doing? I know this must have been a shock. My reason for existing is no longer present. Would you call that a shock? I don't know what to call it. I don't know how to feel. You must rise above your failings. Do not let them rule you. Duty is duty. Your duty is to learn and rule. I understand. Mazarin is not your friend. He doesn't want your comfort, and he isn't here to comfort you. If you will excuse me, I have many preparations to make. Yes, of course. He was your father's shadow, not yours. His time has ended. You must go on alone. Alright, I want to figure out what mood Amoebus gives us. Oh, look at him. He's an Ebenblot. Negative. You tear apart chunks of meat and throw them to the blot, watching them slowly dissolve in its burbling grasp. If only it were so easy to make all your problems disappear. Alright, so he goes to negative. At the end of each turn, you can choose your activities. Yeah, we know how this works. Okay. So... help gives us, yeah, that. I'd like to get to emotion. We're on, like, the exact wrong side of the wheel for that, it would seem. Where do we get emotion? Hold up. If we went to social or indulgence... there doesn't seem to be a way to just stay. You have to change. Which curiously means if you go to the blots, you don't get to be negative. You get to be cautious or secretive on your next turn, it would seem. I think we want to head towards indulgence and social. We can pick up some stealth or something on the way. You examine your room in detail, hunting for any hidden traps or monitoring devices. One can never be too careful. You are summoned again to the cabinet room where the ministers are assembled. To our great sorrow, there have been no signs of Emperor Degoson's survival in the Heavenly Palace or anywhere else. Please report on your investigations. Currently stands. No subversive organizations have claimed credit. No unusual activity or celebrations, no sign that this incident has leaked outside of the palace itself, although that can't last long. The missing researcher, a Heru by the name of Three-Forked Lightning, was known for alternative practices and generally considered a crackpot by other scientists. Three-Forked Lightning was personally recruited by Emperor Degoson to work on this secret warp project, a posting it could never have received by merit. Unlike that, it would then betray the Emperor. No enemies known that would go to such extremes for sabotage. No signs of suicidal inclination or other mental break. Personal records show only enthusiasm about the research. I leave it to you to explain the technical details. The head science minister coughs. We've tried to recreate the Three-Forked Lightning's research, but key records are missing, possibly stored in the equipment that was destroyed. The only experiments we can trace created unstable warp fields that immediately collapsed, destroying the targets of the process. Nothing suggested would ever work. It was madness to try. Other ministers speak up, but they all come to the same conclusion. Your father was killed by meddling with bad science. It was just a stupid accident. We're now honor bound to announce the death of the Emperor. Wouldn't you agree, Princess Zorana? Yes. Very well. Then this celestial ministry is permanently disbanded. Thank you all for your services. You may depart. The ministers, except for Corundi, rise from their seats. Most nod their heads to you in respect before departing. Others just walk by. What happens now? Now the election cycle begins. You are Degoson's heir, but you cannot claim the Imperial throne until you are acclaimed by the majority of the Electoral College of the Comitia. Every elector is a noble from one of the Imperial worlds, each with their own interests and motivations. You'll need to speak to them individually to win their support and make deals where you can. You also need a new team of advisors now that your father's ministers have been dismissed. By Imperial custom, you may not rehire any minister from the previous cabinets. With certain exceptions. The Thresher will always advise you on matters of intrigue The High Pontifex will always take the role of spiritual advisor. Once you win her support, it is the same for your military advisor, the Star Admiral. The High Pontifex and the Star Admiral aren't here right now. They have too many duties of their own to stay in the palace all the time. You'll have to seek them out. Okay. You might win an elector's loyalty by offering them a position as your advisor. It is a great honor to join the Celestial Ministry. You might also consider winning someone's loyalty by making an offer of marriage. Marriage? Marriage alliances are traditional. But you haven't even had your adulthood rights yet. You're still an adolescent, old enough to be betrothed, yes, but would you really want to barter away your future like that? Marriages are for life. As your father's heir, you provide direction for the Heavenly Palace. At your command, we will travel the Empire so that you can meet with your electors. It's all so much to take in. You have enough to worry about with your own classes. Thank you. I will speak to you again later. What should you study next? Bit of hiding. Again, that's a good, just general anti-assassination skill, I would think. Though we do need to get some more, like, court-type skills before we meet people, I would think. Ah, Princess Zorana, here are the regular status reports. You are the stack of papers with some dismay. The Imperial harem has been cleared. All of your father's former concubines have been sent on their way with appropriate gifts and thanks. Some will no doubt wish to return for the official funeral, but for now it's safe to keep them away from the palace. We don't need any further disruption. That's probably for the best. When is the official funeral? Certain ceremonies to bless the Emperor's passage have been carried out already, but the full state funeral will not take place until a new ruler holds the throne. Until then, the Empire is guided by his spirits. This brings us to an issue which requires your attention. Mazarin, your late father's shadow, has not yet carried out the ceremony to end his life as the honor requires. It wasn't his fault, it was an accident. There was nothing he could have done. That does not matter. The Emperor's shadow must follow him into death. Have you spoken to Mazarin? He has confined himself to his quarters, fasting in vigil. He claims that he is waiting for the Emperor's body to be found before holding the ceremony. Hard to cut your throat at your master's feet when the feet are missing. Was that supposed to be a joke? Mazarin's loyalty is not in question, but the Emperor's physical form may be forever beyond our reach. What are your commands, Your Highness? I mean, last time, he's got to perform the ceremony. I'm sorry, it's tradition. Delaying is an insult to my father's memory. Tell him that I command him to get on with it. Very well, then. You gather up the papers and hurry away to your room before you can be presented with any more problems. In your room, you check your messages and discover that you've got mail from some of your school friends. They send their condolences at your father's death. Of course, the news must be reaching across the Empire by now. It's been a season since you've seen any of your old friends, since your father called you away to the Heavenly Palace and named you the heir in your brother's place. At school, your two dearest friends were Xena and Vasily. Xena loves gauzy dresses that blow in the wind, and makes her look like a dramatic heroine. She's fascinated by rumors of magic and alien powers, and knows more about your Novan heritage than you do. Xena was also a far better student than you were, especially when it comes to computers. She loves finding out secrets and insists that the crystal she keeps by her keyboard gives her special hacking insights. She's enthusiastic, bubbly, and a bundle of energy. Vasily, on the other hand, is much more laid back. He's handsome, artistic, and prefers to charm his way out of situations rather than do any actual work. He's quite intelligent when he puts his mind to things, but he'd rather use that intelligence to have a good time. Vasily always had devoted fans follow in his wake, and he was kind to all of them, but never seriously in love. As far as romance went, you had a crush on... both of them, maybe? I don't know what we did last time. Variety's a spice of life, after all, and it was fun to flirt with your friends. You really miss them. For now, though, your social interactions are limited to the palace. Okay. I guess we'll talk to Corindy. Good day to you, Imperial Princess Zorana. My agents are not aware of any current threats to your personal safety. Well, that's good at least. What did you find out about the woman who broke into my room? Who was she working for? Her name was Esmerai. She was a member of the Emperor's harem. According to my agents, she believed the Emperor was going to marry her and make her consort. His disappearance meant the end of her hopes. That may be what made her angry enough to kill you. How did she get into my private room? She obtained overridden codes somehow. We haven't been able to trace the vector, as Mirai was not a skilled hacker, not in contact with any known subversives. Her only notable society connections were to Zalot, Elector of Kedro, but he wouldn't have had those codes either. Kedro, one of the twin worlds in Sector Merkel 1. That's where you grew up. You've met Zalot socially before, but you don't know him very well. We have rekeyed all the systems, of course. However, those codes leaked, they will no longer function. Well, whatever happened, it's dealt with now. Okay. Let's review the schedule. Okay, you visit all of the major palace departments, making sure you know what they and you need to do tomorrow. Alright, deep space. Welcome. Okay, I say let's go to... I think we're gonna head towards Burka, because that's where like all the electors are. Let's head to Burka 2 first. That'll give us a little bit of time to build our skills before really diving into the meat of Burkan politics. Let's go. Entering Merca 2. We have a problem. There's always a problem. Mazrin has disappeared. What? He stopped responding to messages. When he overrode the security lockout on his quarters to see if he'd done his duty, we found them empty. How can an important political person, the Emperor's own shadow, just disappear out of the palace? Were you watching him? You never ordered surveillance on Mazrin. You said he was completely loyal. Your Highness, my agents have been more concerned with your safety than with the safety of a shadow who is due to enter eternity in the near future anyway. Well, did he die somehow? Did he make another warp portal to follow my father? On last reported sightings, he was headed for the hangar decks. It seems likely that he smuggled himself out of the palace on a spaceship. As the Emperor's shadow, Mazrin was trained in a variety of techniques. Stealth, surveillance, infiltration, hacking. He's quite hard to track. Has he gone rogue to save his own life? Or is there more to the story? Maybe he killed the Emperor. If he's so sneaky and well-trained, maybe he's actually an assassin. Maybe Mazrin rigged the accident that killed my father. Don't be ridiculous. Your father created his own fates. Princess Zorana, it falls to you to make decisions in Dragosin's place. What is your official response to this situation? He's a wanted man. Bring him back. He can't get away with disrespecting my father like this. I want him hunted down and brought back to the palace in chains. Very well. At last, they leave you alone to plan your class schedule. Okay. Okay, we need to get some, at least some etiquette and rhetoric. Some basics, at least, on those fronts. Alright. There are more messages of sympathy waiting for you in your mail, Q. These condolences are labeled from your Novan family. What family? You don't know anything about your mother's relatives on Crystal Nova since she died. They've never visited or reached out to you in any way. As far as you know. No. They might have something for a funeral, but you're very young and you don't remember the details. Are her parents still living? Did she have siblings? Do you have cousins? You wonder for a moment and then decide that it doesn't matter. Crystal Nova is no part of your life. You are dedicated to the Celestial Empire. It's almost an insult that they would reach out to you now, considering. And then it hits you. This message isn't from some unknown cousin. It's from your brother. Prince Voshkot, your older brother, like you, half Merkin and half Novan. Unlike you, he held responsibility from a young age. He was named the heir to the Celestial Empire upon his birth. He blazed a trail through the top scholariums and led his squadron in military service. And then he turned traitor, stole a fighter, and defected to Crystal Nova. Ex-Prince Voshkot has a warrant on his head if he ever dares to return to Imperial space. You haven't heard from him since. I do miss him, though. Your ages and different upbringings meant that you weren't as close as some siblings, but he was still your brother. He used to visit you on Kedro and tell you stories. He escorted you to the balls when you were too little for a proper partner. More importantly, if he were here now, then you wouldn't have to deal with all these politics. Voshkot was supposed to be the heir, not you. But he betrayed the Empire and ran away. You don't even know why. You don't have time to think about this now. You're an Imperial Princess. You're busy. When you enter a new inhabited sector, yes, we know. In the early days of Merkin space exploration before the Celestial Star Empire was born, the first colony outside the Twin Worlds was built on Sijda, a rocky moon of the untouchable gas giant Kyr. It represented not only an exotic mineral resource, but also a gateway to the larger universe. Political and technological developments over the centuries have relegated it to little more than a waypoint for galactic travel. The mining operation continues, but Sijda is no longer a thrilling frontier. Despite, or because of its proximity to the Twin Worlds, it is very rare for Sijda to receive an Imperial visit. Dignitaries from this locale usually make their way to Kedro or Ondro for audiences. Thus, while Sijda rates only one elector, this reception is the dream of a lifetime for every minor official and regional business director headquartered on the moon. Invitations were in intense demand. It seems that half the guests wish to speak to you about some matter of investment opportunities. You have far more important things to do with your time. You turn them all away unheard. There's only one guest at this reception with a critical role to play in the near future. You scan the crowd, seek him. Your eyes fall upon a tall, willowy woman whose hair has the gleam of platinum. Makeup enhances the keenness of her gaze, making her age hard to guess, beyond adult. Her silk gown is colored like a cascade of flower petals. At her side is a middle-aged woman with a pleasant smile wearing a dark-colored dress of demure sophistication. Certain traceries of silver jewelry glint when they catch the light. This is Mirel, Elector of Sijda. Your Imperial Highness, it is my great pleasure to welcome you here. May I introduce my wife, Biangi. You exchange pleasantries. Have you ever visited Sijda before? You have, actually, but only as part of a school trip. An educational excursion to the old frontier. You're not sure that's what you'd want to hear. I'll just tell the truth. My school class went on a trip here once. It was our big reward for graduating from the primary level. Mirel laughs. One of our sons is scheduled to have a similar trip to the Twin Worlds soon. A chime interrupts your conversation, signaling that the first of the scheduled speeches is about to begin. I look forward to speaking with you in more detail later, Your Imperial Highness. Please call on me if you have any needs. All of Sijda is at your service. Thank you. You can't tell how she feels about you. Now that you've met the Elector of the region, you should contact her, yes. Alright, we're going to be right back. Just hold up a moment. We're back. I think we're gonna go indulgent, right? Do you want to relax by the pool? Yeah, that gets us to emotion. Perfect. And if we could just kind of bounce around this part of the wheel for a bit to build up emotion and interaction, I think that is precisely what we want to do. You enjoy yourself lounging beside the splash and then splashing around in your own private pool. We'll stay in Merca too, because we actually want to interact with the Elector. Your screen is chiming incessantly. Someone on your contacts list is trying to call you. Hello? Hello, Zorana! Vasily, hello! Xena pushed her way into view. Zorana, we're here to support you in your hour of need. Well, we're not here yet. I mean, we're here, but we're not there here. But we could be if you want. What? What she's saying is that we would like to visit you in the Heavenly Palace, if that's not an imposition. You shouldn't be all alone at a time like this. And you shouldn't have to deal with entertaining us or trying to look the right amount of sad if that's just more stress for you. However, if you would enjoy the distraction, and the hugs and the chance to show off all your new stuff, then we will happily fly out to see you. You want to see your friends? They at least don't want anything political from you, probably, but you're still pretty overwhelmed with everything. You need to manage here. Do you have time to play hostess? We should have a big party. I'd love to see you both. We can have our own party, just like just the way we like music, chocolates, sparklers, wine. I'm in charge of the palace now, so they have to give me whatever I want. That's an exaggeration, but it sounds impressive, doesn't it? Oh, can we see the crown jewels? Maybe promise not to take them. Oh, I'm sure I can find you a pretty crystal somewhere to take home. I'm holding you to it. We look forward to seeing you. Okay, give me some empathy so I know what people want, and a bit of a lure. Or not what people want, but how they feel about me. Alright. You wait eagerly for your friends to disembark. Zorana! She runs up and throws her arms around you in a hug of greeting. Vasily follows more sedately, not laying a hand on you in his very public environment. How are you? Have you been sleeping okay? You look tired. What have they done to you? She fusses over your hair while you try to explain about the election and the need to assemble a team of advisors. That must be very difficult, putting your fate in the hands of strangers you cannot trust. Yeah, hey, that's a marvelous idea. What is? We could be your advisors. I know a lot about the galactic cultures, and Vasily knows about art and stuff. Then you'd have people on your team that you trusted. Also, if you appoint us to your cabinet, then we'd be assigned quarters at the palace, and we could stay here longer. Otherwise, we can only visit First Tresson. I don't know. Don't decide anything right away. We'd be happy to help, even if it's only for a little while. But you have many responsibilities. If you want to make those plans, we can talk later. That's right. For now, you need to show us around the palace. Okay. How long do we want to stay? Because these guys are only here for a bit. I don't know what Mirel is good at. Do we want these two as advisors? And it'd help us fill out the advisors a bit quicker. Because what we would get... What would we get? Something. Relations and... something else. Media, maybe? I mean, we can always dismiss them later if we want to replace them with someone more competent and or an elector. Alright, so let's take them both on board. I'd like a cabinet position. Or I'd like you to get one. Vassal walks around the room, gazing up at the portraits of your parents. They're always watching you. Watching over me, I hope. So, do you really want to join my cabinet? Vasily laughs. No, not really. Politics is not my style at all. Have you on, my friend, and I hate to see you suffering here all alone. I'm willing to play the role of an advisor for media and culture temporarily. That way you know you have someone near you who isn't trying to stab you in the back. But I don't want to be, look at that. You need to replace me before you become Empress. I appreciate that. Thank you. You've elevated Vasily to the position of Legacy of Culture. He's traveling. Okay. We can denounce people. Lovely. Xena? Cabinet position. You bring Xena inside to show her around. So this is what the cabinet chamber looks like. Someone thought the walls would be more dark and mysterious. Are you sure you want to join? To be seated at the heart of all your secret government deals? Of course. Then I am happy to have you as my external curator, head of galactic relations. She squeaks with joy and kisses you on the cheek. Alright. Alright, Mirel. We know nothing about you. I mean, she's from, like, a mining colony? So one would think maybe she knows a thing or two about economics, right? That kind of makes sense. Because here's the thing, right? We could spend an extra bit of time, learn about her a bit more, investigate her background, then we could know better what cabinet position to offer. But that'd take a whole extra turn, and time is at a premium, obviously. So I think we just offer a cabinet position off the jump so we can get off this world as quickly as possible. And get to America too. You arrange for private dialogue with Meryl and lay out your offer. In exchange for electoral vote, I am willing to grant you a role within the Celestial Ministry. You'll be one of my closest advisors with influence on Imperial policy. The only sign of her surprise is a slight widening of her eyes. I am greatly honored, Imperial Highness. How may I serve you? I'm thinking commerce, right? She's the, like, one of the delegates from a mining colony. Like, that's the only thing they got going for them, right? Oh my. Her eyes flick back and forth rapidly, lips moving as if she were counting under her breath. Yes, I will serve to the best of my ability, Your Imperial Highness. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay, she's not good at economics. Dang. Okay, but we got our votes, right? That's important. And we're not wasting much of time here. Like, we've done everything we need to do in Merca 2, and we can move on. Let's have a dinner party. You invite some of those residents in the palace to join you for an evening of food and entertainment. Alright, to Merca 1. You make your way to the cabinet room, yawning. We have received a message from the Star Admiral. Alright, you need to meet with him to discuss your candidacy for the throne. He doesn't have an official electoral vote, but as the head of the Imperial military, his support or lack of it will affect how others see you. He reports that in Iskvitzel has been sighted far past the Drog system in unaffiliated space. Okay. Iskvitzel are something like giant space moths. They cluster around stars to feed, blocking out the lights. A swarm of them plunged the Novan homeworld into an ice age, nearly wiping out their civilization. That was a long, long time ago, but it's hard to forget. Unfortunately, as space-dog organisms, they're impervious to most damage and nearly impossible to kill. The creature's not currently on a direct course for Imperial space, but their movement patterns are unpredictable. It could approach Drog. It's a single Iskvitzel, and the Drog system has no planets to threaten. The danger is not high. Admiral Yaku awaits your instructions. What do you have to start Melon's flagship to do? Go to Drog, because actually... Or if you could rendezvous with the palace? Have we tried that before? We're going to head towards Drog soon. Probably. That's probably where we're heading after we're done in Market 2. Although we could be here for 2 or 3 turns. Maybe 4. Like, this is a big sector with a lot of people to interact with. So even if we send them to Drug, they're probably going to be gone by the time we head over there ourselves. Still, though, we'll be in... They'll be in the region, at least, and we could probably catch up with them later. We need to monitor the situation. Tell the Admiral to take up position in the Drog sector and keep watch. Very well. Okay. So we have... I guess we could get a little bit of menace and deception. Right, get everything at least on basic level. Interaction and emotion-wise. Alright. Merca Prime, the Twin Worlds. Kedro and Ondro, the heart of the Celestial Empire, your home. In many ways, your childhood felt like an exile. You were raised on a small Kedro estate in the care of your duenna. While your brother was heir, you were never called on to attend your illustrious father in the Heavenly Palace. You were the second serving child. Unnecessary, out of sight. And yet you were an Imperial Princess, attending school with other children of wealth and power. Every Tresson, you received invitations to anything from ritual sacrifices to operatic competitions. This clifftop castle is nothing new. You have walked these halls before, and you know what shoes to wear. Tonight, you are the guest of honor. Every person of rank in the Twin Worlds is lined up to greet you, and offer you their sympathies, their respect, and a ceremonial gift. There's no time for anything more, not with so many waiting for even a moment of your attention. It is, of course, the 6 local electors who are uppermost in your mind. 3 from Kedro and 3 from Mondro. This single sector is the pivot for the balance of power in the Celestial Empire. However, you cannot seek them out. You must wait for the queue to proceed as tradition demands. Etiquette fail. It's all very stuffy. You'll be trapped standing in one place for hours, and you can't spend time with anyone you like or avoid anyone you loathe. By the end of the night, your feet will declare war on your knees. The primissaries of the Twin Worlds take precedence, followed by the Kefales. They bow and they kiss there above your hands. They present you with an array of identical platinum coins stamped in your father's image. It is some time before the first of the electors reaches the head of the queue. Zalot of Kedro, you recognize him easily. He dresses for that effect, but you have never known him well. Too old to have been your friend, too young to have been a schoolmate's parent, Zalot's first husband has passed into eternity. He is here alone. He also had some kind of connection to the Ismari, the woman from your father's harem who tried to murder you in your sleep. There's no proof he was involved in any way, but he did know her. Do we make a scene here? Get him on the outs? It could make some enemies, but it could also mean we show that we mean business. We're throwing him out. We will not accept such insults. Guards! Your Highness! 2 burly guards quickly step forward to defend your Imperial personage. This man was involved in an attempt on my life. I most certainly was not! If he'd been found officially guilty of that, he would have already lost his electoral vote, but he is connected to it somehow. He provided aid to an enemy. He has displeased me. He is hereby banished from my sight and from all gatherings where I am present. Your Highness, you are making a terrible mistake. Take him away. Zod is clearly a lover, not a fighter, and allows himself to be led away quietly. You've made at least one enemy, and gained no information from it, but at least you've made it clear that no one harms you with impunity. Next selector to approach you is Krovos of Ondro. He is the only one of the cohort that you have never met before. for the plain reason that he is far too young to take on the responsibilities of the position and has never been invited to any formal gala. There was a whole special report on the feeds last season about the poor orphaned elector whose regent had also died, and now none of the nobles on Undro could agree on who would replace the regent, so in the end it was decided to let Corvus rule for himself, or Krovos. There is precedent for allowing adolescent heirs to take up positions when necessary. You yourself have not had your adulthood rights, but Krovos is only a child. It's most unusual. Hello, Your Highness, how are you? His manners might be acceptable at a child's party, but they're totally wrong for this occasion. You ought to be addressing you as the Imperial Highness. Oh, we'll tolerate. He's such a little boy, younger than you, and he's all alone. You can be generous. I'm very well, thank you. He grins and hands over his coin. Happy birth star. It's not my... Oh, never mind. The little boy wanders off, his task complete. You can't tell how he feels about you. The next elector who approaches is Vater, also of Andro. He's an older male who's never married and has no children that you know of. He's always seemed kind. Your Highness, it is my great pleasure to see you here tonight. I hope to see you carry on the legacy of both your parents. Thank you. He bows, offers up his gift, and moves out of the way so that the next guest can proceed. After a few other senators have come through, the next elector to approach is Lukabir of Kedra, scion of a long line of politicians, and very familiar to you. The academy you attended until recently lay within the territory he represents, and he was a frequent speaker at graduation ceremonies. Lukabir is in attendance with his wife, both impeccably dressed, save for his ever uncontrollable hair. He looks at you stiffly, then bows, offers up his coin, and withdraws without speaking a word. That's worrying. You can't tell how he feels about you. The next elector to appear before you is Ixil of Andro. She's notable in the Twin World Society for her large number of acknowledged children, one of whom attended your academy a few forms ahead of you. You're hoping Faray would be here tonight, but there's no sign of her or her siblings. But then these are the guests of the highest prestige. There's an offspring rank lower and might be further back in the queue. Ixil stands by her husband's side, smiling at you. Hello, Your Imperial Highness. You're looking well, under the circumstances. We're very sorry for your loss. I know this time may be very difficult for you. Please call my household if you have any needs. Thank you. They present their gift to you and leave smiling. You can't tell how she feels about you. Last of the actors to make an appearance is Milan of Kedra. You're surprised to see him attending alone. Perhaps his wife is unwell? She's much older than her husband, after all. Equally unusual, Milan appears to be entirely sober, which is not his typical demeanor at social gatherings. Perhaps this is a show of respect? Your Imperial Highness! He thumps a fist on his chest, to his chest. Glory to your line! You nod in acknowledgement, and he hands over his ceremonial coin. Until another meeting. He marches away with purposeful motion, his back straight. You can't tell how he feels about you. That is the last of the electors, but certainly not the last of the guests. A long evening stretches ahead of you. Of course, there is one more vote to be cast within the sector. However, its holder is not the sort of person who can be expected to wait in line to pay her respects to you. If you wish an audience with the High Pontifex, you will have to approach her as a supplicant. For now, you must raise your chin and look regal. Okay. So we don't want to go dancing. Want to stay in this zone, so we'll go shopping. While you could have special items made to order for you, it's also fun to go and browse the offerings available in the Heavenly Palace's exclusive boutiques. As a princess, anything you like is yours for the taking. Alright, we'll stay in Mirkwood. Okay, apparently we've already lost a vote. That's fair. We did throw that guy out. Your Imperial Highness, a request for aid has been sent to the Heavenly Palace by our embassy in Tichuk space. The Tichuk are a physically menacing species who originated on a high-gravity homeworld. They are large and strong, with dark blue skin, horned heads, and long tails, which they can use like whips. They don't often visit Imperial space, but they do a great deal of trade through the Tharkin sectors. They have apprehended a Tharkin merchant, a citizen of Svagras, and are holding him on charges of smuggling recreational drugs through their space without paying him the proper fees. That's so. The Vestarch is being overly polite. The merchant was probably smuggling illegal drugs without paying the proper bribes. The charges appear to be valid. The Chook wish to sentence him to a lifetime of hard labor. The merchant is pleading for your intervention. They must be very upset about the drugs. What is your response? You're obviously nowhere near the situation. What can you actually do about it? Like, this is a Tharkin problem. You want to smuggle drugs into foreign countries? Good luck, but I'm not gonna help you. This doesn't need Imperial intervention. It's a Tharkin problem, and a Tharkin senator ought to be handling it. Passes you back to the committee. Very well. Have a good day. Okay. Empathy and menace. Alright, we're student level. Nice. Okay, I don't suppose we can... Yeah, he kind of hates me. Let's... What do you want to do here? This was the guy I was running against last time. Let's investigate Ixil's background. You dig into the background of Ixil, Elector of Ondrau. Ixil is in many ways an unremarkable elector. She comes from a respectable family, but not a noteworthy one. She carries out her required duties, but is rarely present in the Imperial Committee outside of major events or strongly whipped votes. She's considered religiously devout, which makes her observances at temples within her region of Ondrau. There's no record of her ever having admitted to the presence of the High Pontifex. Among the Merkin nobility, Ixil mostly stands out for a large number of children. You know at least 6 of them. What you never realized until now, though, was how many of Ixil's babies died during infancy due to genetic defects. Any competent fertility lab could have detected and prevented those problems. She must have been relying solely on natural conception. However, while others might agree or disagree with her position, it's not a secret and not a scandal. Faraim, one of Ixil's daughters, attended the Ishinka Academy with you, though she's a bit older and was in a different form. You were never close friends, but you did admire her. You haven't heard anyone mention her recently. Okay, no scandals. Let's look into... We could denounce someone. We could denounce Zolas again. Let's investigate his background. You dig into the background of Vater, Elector of Ondrau. An older male with a reputation for calmness, wisdom, and common sense. He's often regarded as a mediating influence capable of helping different factions reach agreement on issues. He's never married and has no acknowledged children. Water does have a long-term romantic partner, a male Murthan, who is neither spouse nor concubine. Private records show that they once investigated a marriage license, but were determined to be genetically incompatible and unable to produce legitimate children together. Despite these difficulties, they have remained together for many fivms, and neither has been seen to take on any other romantic involvements. He once borrowed a large sum from his district's tax funds to use for personal home redevelopment. When questions were raised about this, he apologized and paid back the money. No charges were ever filed, but there are hints that a few bribes may have been paid to avoid closer scrutiny. Okay. Seems like he could be a good diplomatic advisor, maybe. Let's negotiate with Lukamir. You attempt to arrange for private dialogue with Lukamir, but he won't return your calls. Great. Guess we'll go admire the Imperial portraits. You go to the Captain's room to gaze upon the portraits of your parents and think about their lives and their duty to the Empire. We'll stay here. Good morning, Your Imperial Highness. Oops. I quick-loaded. No! Why is that button right there? We must have an autosave, right? Yeah, this one. Alright. Good morning, Your Imperial Highness. We must now discuss the matter of the Jubilee holiday. The celebration of my father's birth star rising. As we officially have no emperor at the moment, it would not be unreasonable to postpone the Jubilee until after a successful election. The Jubilee is an empire-wide holiday. Many businesses are closed, and the necessary workers receive overtime pay. Removing a holiday from the calendar would disrupt plans and finances. We could maintain the current schedule and celebrate in honor of Emperor Dragosin on turn 28. Or, using your position as the Emperor's daughter, you could move the Jubilee to match your own birth star on turn 15. That could help cement my position as the next ruler in the eyes of the Empire. What are your commands? We'll keep the Father's Jubilee. It gives us more time to prepare. Let's keep things stable. The Jubilee should celebrate my father's birth star. I'll make note of it. Okay, give me etiquette and rhetoric. We have received a report from the Star Admiral. The fleet is preparing to resume regular patrols around the Empire. That may make him more difficult to contact. You can locate the fleet by looking around the map. Your Highness, I need your input on a matter of security. A large and important matter, but one that you might wish to exercise discretion while handling. A visitor to the palace, a Hurricane laborer, became publicly intoxicated and made a nuisance of himself. Among other things, he was loudly shouting that Emperor Dragosin had been murdered by your hand. What? Obvious drunken nonsense, but as it concerns your reputation, you may wish to take personal hand in the matter. We have him in custody and wait your decision. Rumors can spread quickly. Particular rumors are what covers up in conspiracies. Obviously did not murder your father. Is it possible that someone did? Does this Hurricane know anything? Is there truth in the wine, or is it just drunken rambling? We will require a public apology. He said something foolish and false, so it's his responsibility to make it right. Let him sleep it off, and then I'll talk to him. If he makes an apology statement, then the matter will be settled. Kurundi nods. Oh, okay, that's good to know. If I get the dialogue option and it says the skill thing, that means my skill is already sufficient to do it. It doesn't mean I'm going to get a skill check. I can't believe I didn't notice that before. Okay, Xena. I'm going to have to remove your Well, I might take a computer lesson first. Well, I think I'm going to have to remove the cabinet's position. Xena, I need to talk to you. What is it? I really appreciate you helping me out, but is it okay if you're not my external curator anymore? Oh. I guess it's fine. I should probably go home anyway. Thanks for understanding. Okay. Vaser. Welcome. You arrange for a private dialogue with Vacher and lay out your offer. In exchange for electoral vote, I am willing to grant you a role within the Celestial Ministry. You'll be one of my closest advisors with influence on Imperial policy. I'd be happy to give you my advice on many subjects, Your Imperial Highness. Do you have a particular in mind? The external curator, of course. Yes, I would have to serve you the position. I'll make representations so that I can be available whenever you have need of me. Thank you. Alright, relations of 50. That's an improvement. Alright, let's negotiate with Milan. You arrange for a private conversation with Milan. I need the support of my electors in order to formally become empress. Will you pledge your loyalty to me? He shakes his head. Your father was the wickedest bastard ever born. He kissed death and shat lightning. He'd eat a newborn's heart raw to savor the taste. He's definitely had a few drinks. You're pretty sure your father has never eaten a baby's heart. You want my vote? You have to earn it. You have to challenge me. A duel? Putting your hand and poking for points. A real challenge. A man's challenge. You are obviously not a man. What's his point? Strength to strength. Best we had my strengths. Surprise you. Show me you're worthy of your father's throne. Alright, what strengths do you want to compete in? He holds up a fist, peeling up figures one at a time. Wrestling, fishing, singing, drinking! Somehow my last item he has all 5 figures raised, even though that was only 4 options. He punctuates the list by swigging from a nearby bottle. Actually, on your fight. He closes the connection. He senses he probably has negative feelings about you. Okay. So I'm probably going to need some degree of... We'll relax by the pool. Like some constitution. I think we're staying in Merkel 1. We at least need to beat the High Pontifex. Maybe we could blackmail someone too. Princess, have you seen the latest news across the starfeeds? I just got up. This concerns your father. The Vestark beckons you closer to look at a feed display. The sound is muted, but on the screen you can see an unfamiliar Merkin woman cradling an infant. The text scrolling across the bottom reads, Emperor Dragosin's secret heir? The woman claims to have conceived the Emperor's son and requests the palace's aid in claiming his birthright. Who is she? Is that one of my father's concubines? You don't recognize her, but you can't say that you'd remember every face in your father's harem. That was not an area of his life that you paid much attention to. No, an unmarried woman of common family and middling income. She apparently came into contact with the Emperor during one of his visits to Andral. The child's genetics have not yet been verified. Even if her story is true, if she's not a wife or concubine, and the child was never officially acknowledged, and it wasn't, your father's will was quite clear that he has no son now. Such a baby has no birthright to claim. Under Imperial law, family is a matter of contract and obligation, not genes. Many children are not genetically related to one or even both of their parents. Children can be conceived artificially, genes can be edited before birth. If someone finds an unscrupulous doctor, genes can even be stolen. Creating a child of someone's genes without their permission is illegal, but it does happen. Especially with celebrities or other prominent figures. Your father was certainly prominent. This story is nothing but tabloid gossip. No one in their empire would seriously imagine that this baby was the heir to anything. But if it is in some way your father's child, what are you going to do about it? Whoever this woman is, she's Merkin. That means the child's heritage is not mixed the way that yours is. There are people in the Empire who might prefer a pure-blooded heir. Whispers of scandal can damage your reputation even if everyone knows that they're not really true. We'll donate to an orphanage. We'll just make some good PR in exchange. The baby's not my responsibility, no matter whose genes it has. It'd be wrong to even acknowledge the story. It's nothing to do with me. But I don't want to look heartless. Let's make some big public donations in my name to Imperial orphanages and the children's services. That'll help support the baby, whose efforts it might be. And of course it should boost your reputation for generosity. Very well. That's resolved, and I have an update on the drunk Hurricane who slandered your name. You met with him briefly after he recovered from the alcohol. A surly fellow with unkempt wings. He wasn't keen on talking to you, though he did at least admit he'd been wrong to throw around drunken accusations. He made a public apology as requested, but it was generally perceived as forced. Well, it sort of was. He didn't know anything, he was just a random visitor. If there is a mystery about your father's death, then any clues must be hidden somewhere in the Heavenly Palace. The science department is the obvious place to start looking. But your father's minister has investigated the labs in detail and found nothing suspicious. With so much else going on, do you really want to devote your time to chasing phantoms? Well, let's look into we don't have a scientific advisor. We'll let it rest. You'll never find anything if you keep digging in the same hole. That's dealt with. You have studying to do. Alright, give me Allure and Menace. Alright, you've unlocked the Golden Empress outfit. Nice, let's put that on. Cool. You receive a report from the Imperial Thresher. Her agents have heard rumors that Mazarin, the rogue shadow that served your father, was sighted en route to the Twin Worlds. However, none of these rumors came from anyone who knew him well enough to be certain of his identity. By the time the agents were dispatched, the former shadow was nowhere to be found, if he was even there at all. There's no cause for concern. The Thresher will continue to monitor the situation. Alright, let's go to the Pontifex. Well, should we just doubt Solace? How to look into who's your social network? Alright. He's out to Regnit and Cinepart and Radami. Erliot, Mirel, Electo, Stoya, and Jade are enemies. Okay. Let's denounce him, too. As Imperial Princess, you have the power to declare an elector that you've met to be persona non grata and banish them from your presence, damaging their reputation. This will please their enemies and upset their allies, as well as ensure that they will never vote for you. Denouncing someone who is already unpopular can win you more votes, but it's a risky strategy, as offended electors may retaliate. So we already banished all this. Gotcha. Okay. Part of why he hates us. Good to know. Let's go to the Pontifex. You submit a request for an audience with the High Pontifex and wait anxiously for a response. Even an Imperial Princess cannot command the attention of her All-Holiness. At last, you are granted permission to travel to the surface of Kedro and enter the Basilica of Shadows. You are guided to a small chamber where you wait for your private audience. A pair of aides open a door and lower their eyes as the priestess enters, then step away without speaking. As High Pontifex, Ethaxe is not dedicated to the service of a single deity, but presides over the Mercan faith in general. She may officiate or instruct at any temple if she chooses. That is why her title is Her All-Holiness. We'll kneel. You gracefully sink to one knee, acknowledging her authority. Strength be with you. And also with you. I've come here to humbly request your support and your blessing for me to succeed my father to the celestial throne, as was his wish. Will you join the celestial ministry as my spiritual advisor? You reach for the crown of stars, but the blood and the soul of the Merkin people lie here upon the stones, older than empire, older than flight. Half your blood is foreign, but you were raised and educated here on Kedrau, correct? Yes, at the Ishinka Academy. But where is your faith? Where is your soul? Do you offer your tears to Yamajin for wisdom, or do you dance for your mother's good lady? You, don't know all the names of the Novan goddesses, or which of them might be titled the good lady. Your mother certainly never passed any faith on to you. You raised in the Merkin faith and made all the proper offerings, but you can't really be described as devout. Religion has never been a major priority for you, and yet don't spend much time thinking about it. Still, it's all you know. I'm a Merkin, not a Novan. The High Pontifex takes hold of your chin and stares deeply into your eyes. Your faith is shallow, weak, untested. Athexai steps back and regarding you impassively. Princess Zorana, as Empress, it would often fall to you to enforce the law, should other channels prove insufficient. As you should already know, pledging oneself to the priesthood is a bond for life. Like marriage, it cannot be undone. What would you do if you were presented with a priest who had tried to flee his duty and disappear back into civilian life? What remedy would you propose? What does she want from you? Does she want to hear that you are ruthless, or does she want to judge how clever you can be? You should be killed. You can't abandon the priesthood. A priest should know better than to defy the gods. If one tries to break their vow, then their life is forfeit. They should be put to death. So you value honor. She fell into silent contemplation. Ooh, successful her. Noticing her eyes on you, you do your best to look simultaneously pious and winsome. You are young and your path is uncertain. You must seek a sign of favor from the gods. How do I do that? I will give you dispensation to enter into a ritual starfall match. You will see which direction fortune's blades will slice. Starfall is a popular sport among Merkins, but quite rough. Star-tipped javelins are thrown from player to player along the length of a field to reach the goal. A player holding a spear may not run, but must quickly sight and throw the star to a teammate. There is an exception. Any player who is pierced by the falling star is allowed to run with the spear still driven into their body. Striking one of your teammates in this way also scores an immediate point, even if the blow turns out to be fatal. Professional Starfall players are highly paid and have legions of screaming followers, but they all know that every match might be their last. Still, the professional teams are well trained, and coaches don't want to lose their most popular draws, so most players will protect themselves and run for medical attention if needed. There aren't that many deaths, just scars. The sport is also played religiously for divination purposes, and there the injury rate is even higher. Your academy puts you all out on the field once or twice as part of your regular exercise routine, but with the star replaced by a puffball, and so many special and safety rules that it's not even nose broken. That's no preparation for a serious match. As for the deeper strategy of the game, you don't have a clue. Test your fate and then return to me. Thank you, your all-holiness. It's a dangerous task, but the sword of the High Pontifex could be very influential among Merkin nobles. How badly do you want it? Okay. Any chance I could just... Could I blackmail you? Because the thing is, to get that, right? That's a whole, like, couple skill trees. Like, we need to get on sports. We do need wrestling anyway for the other guy. There's something he said about that. But I think we'll also need strength. Maybe reflexes? Or do we need endurance, actually? We might need endurance. I think it's sports and endurance are the big ones. I don't know. I mean, I'm still on my social arc right now. I guess let's charm this guy. And then we'll probably be out on the next turn. You engage Milan in private conversation and attempt to appeal to charm with... Attempt to charm him with your personal appeal. There we go. I've failed. Should I play such games with men that were more right than sense? He knocks back a bottle of some fizzing beverage. John, I'd keep her safe. Try not to flaunt yourself. He says that he probably has negative feelings. Great. Alright, we'll have a dinner party. He unites some of the residents to, an evening of food and entertainment and such. Alright, we're gonna go to Drog next. Oh, and maybe we could meet up with the fleet while we're there. Nice. When you wake, you find a message waiting from the Vestark, flagged important. Not urgent, or someone would probably have insisted on getting you out of bed at once. You read through the message and immediately feel your pulse rate increase. A major Starfleet producer has requested access to do an interview with you for a biographical special. You can't afford to say no to this. It's a chance to make a positive impression across the entire Empire. This could shape the course of the election. Unfortunately, we don't have long to prepare. The reporter will arrive after this turn's classes. Okay, in that case, give me Allure and Rhetoric. Yeah. Okay. It's time for your big interview. What impression do you want to give to the Empire? How do you want people to think of you? So we don't have the second skill in like any of these. So I think it's probably got to be Allure, right? Because we have an effective 55. Whereas Rhetoric we only have a 45. And Menace. Oh, Menace we have an effective 55 too. No history though, I don't think. Only had a historian. No military either, I don't think. Give me beautiful princess? Does that really want to listen to a candidate's speeches? Your appearance will make a stronger impression than any words you could say. Allure, success. Kind of. You let your wardrobe attendants dress you in your finest and concentrate on making a good impression on the cameras. You smile a lot and keep your head turned to focus on your best side. The interview itself mostly passes in a blur, but you answer a few easy questions about your upbringing, your favorite color, and so on. Afterwards, the team insists that everything went well, but then that is their job. Alright, while we're in deep space, let's take the opportunity to talk, get to know our advisor's social network, because presumably the people there they have good relations with will be people that we could already have it in with to try to gain their votes. Alright, what does she got? Vater, okay. And Stoyan. Zolot, Ixil, and Sola are enemies. Alright, now as for Vater. Ixil, Mirel, and Ripping Eternity. Or Rippling Eternity. Alright. Guess we'll go shopping. Or if... Okay. Maybe we start alternating between excited and social. Right, because this gives us condition and domination, which is exactly what we need for that sports thing. Okay. We'll go dancing then. You go out for some wild exertion in one of the palace ballrooms. Alright, we're going to Drog. 2 electors here. We're going to leave with 2 votes if we can help it. You're awakened when your lights turn on by themselves. That can't mean anything good. Princess Zorana, please report to the cabinet chamber at your earliest convenience. What now? You dress yourself swiftly and make your way to the room. What's the emergency? Not an emergency exactly, but a change in circumstances. The Vestark beckons you over to look at another Starfleet news display. You recognize the Merkin man on screen immediately. It's Lukamir, Elector of Kedra. The Vestark brings up the sound so you can hear him speaking. Descendant of the Empress Platina the Great, I formally announce my candidacy for the Celestial Throne. He's entering the election? It's more of a confirmation than a question. Of course that's what he's doing. He knew his family had Imperial ties, your distant cousins multiple times over, thanks to the interconnections of Merkin politics. Imperial blood isn't even a legal requirement to stand for election, although it certainly helps to get the support. You are your father's designated heir, but you're still a young and untried girl. Lukamir is an adult with friends across the Empire. Is it possible he could defeat you? How bad is this? Bad? It is neither bad nor good. It simply is. Oh, what I meant is how much support do you think he has? That is what the election will determine. Don't you care about who wins? I serve the Empire. As a civil servant, it is my duty to remind you that only a sitting emperor or empress can appoint or dismiss an elector. The Liquid as a whole may rule an elector ineligible to vote, but only in extreme situations such as complete loss of mental capacity or a proven attempt to assassinate a candidate. You cannot remove him. Wait, does that mean he gets to vote for himself? Yes. Well, that's one vote you won't be winning. You need to step up your game. If you can secure binding pledges from electors to vote for you, then they won't be able to support any other candidates. Okay. Body controls the endurance one. Well, okay, we can still get wrestling and sports going. Okay. You return to your room to find an important message light flashing. When you pull up the message, the sender's name appears to be a sequence of random glyphs. How did this get past your security filters? Are these symbols an abbreviation for an obscure government department? There's a short video attached to the message, something about Lukamir's candidacy, maybe? You open the file and freeze. Those figures on your screen, they're your parents. This is not a loving message to their future daughter. It's a recording of an argument. They're in the palace. You recognize your father's rooms, though the decorations have changed a little. This is clearly 5 months ago, and they're talking about you. Your father speaks. Now that your daughter has been born, and your mother cuts him off, angry in the way you've never seen her in any photograph before. That thing is on my daughter. It's your creature, and I refuse to have any part of this. And there the file cuts off. Who would send you something like this? Maybe it's a misunderstanding. It's only a few moments out of context. Maybe they weren't talking about you at all. Or maybe your mother hated you. Oh no, I'm negative. What an awful thing to say about a baby. Her child, which you obviously are. Legally, you are a child of the marriage. Biologically, your Merkin Novan heritage is written all over your skin. You're Melania's daughter. And she called you a thing. Maybe she wasn't well at the time, or maybe it never happened. The video could be a fake. Where did it even come from? You tried to compose a reply, but it won't send. The system believes the address is malformed. Then how is it received in the first place? I don't think we have. Do we have operations skills, like, at all? No, we have 0 operations. Let's ask the Thresher to investigate. You summoned the Thresher to personally investigate this strange message. Even forwarding it to her could damage some fragile clue. She needs to see it exactly as you saw it. There's no sign of the video being generated or edited. This appears to be an authentic conversation. Or part of one. What this is security footage. This was not recorded by an automated system in the palace. This recording was taken by someone else who was present in the room at the time, standing at the Emperor's side. His shadow. The most obvious suspect, yes, but it could have been anyone with intimate access. A concubine or maidservant might have been that close. The screen fills with letters and symbols that you can't easily make sense of, but the Thresher frowns. This message was sent from somewhere within the palace, but on a time delay. It could have been set up tresons in advance. I'll have to check the server to see if there are any access traces, but someone talented enough to bypass these systems would probably know enough to cut through the tracks. Who would keep a fragment of Fivim's old recording, and then hack a palace system and send it to you anonymously? Sounds like the sort of thing one of the Thresher's secret agents would get up to. But as far as you can tell, Courtney doesn't know who sent the message. Trace the sender. Find out anything you can. Of course, have you received any other suspicious correspondences? There was that strange encounter you had with Mazrin before he disappeared, from the one where he wanted to give you a message from your father. You'd rather not tell the Thresher that the Emperor, your father, called you weak and spoiled? No. Still, we must be cautious. Call me any time if you have any concerns. Right. The drug system was first discovered early in the history of the Celestial Star Empire, but it contained no world suitable for colonization. It is a wasteland of broken rock, asteroids, and planetoids tumbling chaotically around a dimly glittering star. Or dimly guttering star. Hidden among those rocks are signs which speak of disasters which predate the Merkin race. For that reason, the system is primarily of interest to scholars and mystics. The permanent population of the Drog system mostly dwell within 2 large space stations, Death Swings and a Merkin holding, and the Imponderable under the control of the Mao. Your guests include the 2 stations, electors of course, but also the region's preeminent scientists, ranking officials, and military leaders. Drug may be an insignificant system, but the Empire does not intend to lose it. You spot one of the electors nearby. With a final sip, you discard your drink, steeling your nerves, and prepare to meet your guests. Suddenly, your path is blocked by a young Miro woman with an intricate hairstyle. She clutches a stack of paper printouts. Unusual. Your Highness, it's a great honor for you to visit us at this auspicious time. If you could have a moment of your attention, my name is Sopafixu, and I have recently uncovered a carving which may influence the Empire's entire course of history. She holds up her stack of papers, and you realize that if you don't do something, she will continue talking for the entire length of the reception. I could direct her to the Galaxy of Culture. I have one of those now. Yes, thank you. Please direct your reports to my expert advisor, the Galaxy of Culture, who will give them all due contemplation. The woman looks slightly disappointed, but cannot argue. Ministerial attention is probably more than she deserves. You feel mildly guilty for depositing this problem in Vasily's lap and spoiling his reception, but at least he's good at being charming. You'll make it up to him later. You locate the nearest elector and proceed with your rounds. Greetings, Your Imperial Highness. I am Stoyan, Regent Elector of Deathwings. Welcome to the Drog system. He is an adult-working male, dressed in well-tailored clothes of fine fabric, but with very little decoration. His face and voice seem almost emotionless as he speaks. Regent Elector? Our chosen is as of yet too young to assume the responsibility herself. He beckons forward a small merkin child, half your height, wearing a full-skirted, frilly dress, as pale as her hair. Her features are hidden under a dark veil, but flashes of bone white peek out beneath the holes in the lace. Has she painted her face for war? Say hello to Princess Zorana, Arahel. You cannot tell whether or not she is making a face at you under there. Still, she is a lector, even if not quite a voting one. It's a pleasure to meet you, Arahel. You try to offer her a welcoming smile. I'm in mourning. Oh, I'm sorry, have your parents recently crossed over? So I did not introduce her as his daughter, after all. It was many cycles ago, but Arahel is particularly devout. That is much of what led to her being chosen elector. You ought to be more devout. Why aren't you in mourning? Didn't your father, the Emperor, just enter eternity? Princess Zorana has many duties and must consider the needs of the Empire as a whole. She does not have the luxury of deep mourning. The tiny child lifts her chin proudly. I will pray for you. Thank you. I've heard that the Emperor was engaged in some fascinating research at the time of his demise. Happy to follow in his footsteps with better results, of course. Perhaps. You really have a pet Ebonblot? Yes. She folds her thin arms and looks up at her regent. I want a pet. You already have a great many skeletons. You can't tell from his liver whether those skeletons are former pets or current ones. Come now, let us have some punch and cookies. I suppose cookies would be acceptable. I'm sure we will speak again later, Your Imperial Highness. Of course. You watch the two of them leave together, the regent guiding his ward without touch. There's no sign of a spouse connected to Stoyan. Arahel, of course, is too young for a betrothal. You sense that he probably has positive feelings about you? After a moment to refresh yourself, you seek out the other elector. He is middle-aged by Mao standards, with a thin frame and short-cropped fur. He is wrapped in clothing more decorative than Stoyan's, and he smiles widely at your approach. Your Imperial Highness, it is with the greatest of pleasure that I introduce myself to you. I am Cinnabart, Elector of the Imponderable. But of course you knew that already. His voice is somewhere in between charming and impudent, with a beautiful tongue trill over the R of his name. Pondering the imponderable is a deeply held tradition of a race. As you know, empires love life, meaning and meaninglessness. But of course, you are filled with youth, determination. The universe looks different when you've had time to become jaded. Such a beautiful flower such as yourself should not wilt so soon. May I kiss your hand? Sure. You need his approval after all. Very well. Don't worry, I am perfectly harmless. His lips brush lightly over the back of your hand, almost unnoticeable. Truly a pleasure, Your Imperial Highness. If you'll pardon me, I have other visitors who I must avoid. I will wait your call some other time. Right. A strange fellow. He isn't married, and he did seem to take some interest in you, but can he be trusted? Alright, positive feelings. Nice. Zolot is supporting looking at that is not a surprise. Okay. 2-2. Okay, gosh, this is not really where we want it to be at the moment. I mean, we could get body control and domination over Indetermined and Bold. Here's what I think, though. I think we go to Compliance. And then next turn, we can go with our pets, which would make us negative, and then we go to Secretive, and we can start body control right away. You visit all of the major palace departments, making sure they know what to do. You know how it is. How it goes. We'll stay in Drog. You want to see me? Yes, Your Highness. This is largely a formality, but it requires your approval and signature. The most recent logger of Sides, who was your father's minister, has been offered a research directorship in the Harrow 2 sector. Harrow 2? You haven't visited there yet, but by reputation there's practically no there to visit. No habitable planets, no major population centers. Having been so recently a member of the Celestial Ministry with privileged information means that this individual must seek Imperial approval before accepting any such position. It is a matter of security. You don't know anything about what the past logger of Sides did. Apparently not much, considering the lack of information about your father's foolish experiments. You have no idea what top secret plans might have been brought before the ministry, or how this could affect your future. You have to take a guess? I guess we'll approve it. Fine, I'll sign it. No need to antagonize people needlessly. Very well. Is there any news out of Lucamir's campaign? A new interview for the feeds. You appear at the screen where you see video footage of Lucamir answering questions from reporters, while making a visit to a historic castle on the Twin Worlds. I already held an event there, and mine was better. You can't waste your time worrying about what he's doing. You need to focus on your own schedule. Alright, give me some more etiquette and rhetoric. Oh, it's a Captain 50. That was a that was a mistake. I forgot about that mechanic. Honestly, I can't. You know, don't worry. Just because if I had known about that mechanic, I would not have done that. Okay. Right, that's why there's the... Okay. We'll go deception and etiquette then. But yeah, obviously I didn't want to get 5 points in rhetoric. I guess we could go with the evening... It's hard to say if the evening gown or the other one is better suited for what we need to do at any given time. Alright, Stoyan. These two both like me. But, alright, so Stoyan, congratulations. You are getting a cabinet position. You arranged for a private dialogue with Stoyan and lay out your offer. In exchange for your electoral vote, I'm willing to grant you a role within the Celestial Ministry. You'll be one of my closest advisors with influence on Imperial policy. What position are you offering me? The Logthid of Science. An interesting offer. I'm very busy with my research here and my duty to Arhill. However, the Empire would be benefited by expert guidance. Very well, I accept. 75. And that gives us better movement, which is key for actually getting to everywhere we need to go. We could propose an engage and just get out of here immediately. He might be susceptible to charm and flattery. I'm not sure if we could get a locked-in vote that way, but... Maybe. Maybe. It's worth a shot, at least. I don't want to spend too much time here, but... Let's see what this does. You engage Cinepart in private conversation and attempt to charm him with your personal appeal. What a lovely ornament you are. You make a very fine, pleasant company. You sense that he probably has positive feelings toward you. Okay, well that didn't lock in a vote, but he already likes me anyway, so maybe I don't need to lock in his vote. Maybe he's just going to be inclined to vote for me regardless. Anyways, let's go play with Amoebus. Nice. Milan, Elector of Kedrow, has pledged his vote to Lucamir. Well, okay, so much for impressing him. 3-3. We're gonna write it in our diary. You open your room to record your most secret thoughts in your private diary. You're so focused on your own feelings that you are completely unaware of the intruder in your room until you feel the garrote around your neck. Instinctively, your hands come to your throat, clawing at the cord and trying to pull it away from your windpipe. But the thin garrote is already pressing deeply into your flesh. It takes only moments for your vision to go black. Dang. Well then. Ah. That went poorly. Zorana did not live to claim the Imperial throne. The future of the Celestial Empire remains unwritten. But it doesn't have to end this way. Train different skills, make different choices, Zorana's star might rise again. Dang. Ugh. That's tough. I felt like we were doing better with the electioneering that time, but survivability a little less so, I guess. Dang. Next time, maybe? Well, that's good after the end of the stream then, though. I'd been prepared to go on for longer, but we clearly don't have enough time to get through another whole election process. That's kind of what I generally plan for with these streams, but yeah. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll win that election yet. But probably not next week, because next week only one stream is planned. That's going to be a Tuesday stream, which will be the 100 line Last Defense Academy. Hope to see you then. But anyways, until next time, I've been Supercraft. I'll catch you in the next stream and or video. Goodbye.